All right. I don't know how much sense this is going to make, but I've been meaning to do like a talk through on different songs from the album for a little while, and I'm going to start with the manifestly most inscrutable tune, uh, the one that leads off the album high on the list of the most inscrutable tunes I've ever written. This is Here Comes Catastrophe. And if there's a through line to the song, if there's something to kind of hold on to and look for, it's that um, our cultural force atrophies to the same degree that our technological force explodes. That is, that we become indentured to technologies, that we are servicing mediums that in turn kind of control our media. And this is a critically unstable situation that's going to have to collapse at some point. So, verse 1, and it goes on and on. The birds heard it from the Aztec, pilots heard it all from underground machines. We start in the timeless crisis, the ancient future. We've got the Aztecs and AI. We've got cultural power accruing into unaccountable institutions, and we're losing our culture to them. Noam Chomsky, who is kind of the father of a school of thought called biolinguistics, makes an appearance at the end. Chomsky sort of becomes famous in the 70s for arguing that there's something inherently biologically scripted about intelligence, that you couldn't just remake it inside of a machine. And obviously, we're going to test that hypothesis. Verse 2. It's an ancient song, once stealing, sang to Woody, sang to Lead Belly, sang to Sugar Lamb Parole. Is this long visual metaphor where we kind of take our culture and we follow it back through the generations, we follow it back to its root, and then when we get to the root, we kind of explode outwards into this vision of a grandly fractured future. So we trace Dylan back to his hero, Woody Guthrie back to his hero. There's a guy named Leadbelly who actually did at some point sing his way out of prison when the governor of Texas was sufficiently charmed by going to a series of his performances. And then we follow that back down, follow it through the root, follow it to the center, the nickel center of the earth, and then we explode outwards. Chords, Kessler and the hi-fi, atmosphere and satellite debris and code, and riffing on like a verb for the Kessler effect, which is the hypothesis / prediction that when we get enough goddamn satellites up into the atmosphere, eventually we're not going to be able to track them all and track their steering at a sufficiently high fidelity, and one of them is going to hit the other, and that's going to create a cloud of debris, and the cloud of debris is going to hit more, and it'll just be this cascading effect that's going to render A, satellite communication impossible, but B, also cuts us off from the stars. It renders the upper atmosphere of Earth into this impenetrable field of garbage. And what is that as kind of a cultural cultural metaphor, when we become so fragmented that it's an impassable field. Okay. It was a mighty twerk, shook the columns of the Tiki-Taka-Lopolis while trillionaires were born in space. Is a verse 3, about how our failures are capital and sexual and political. All of the houses are made of tiki-taki. They've all metastasized now into like this Tiki-Taka-Lopolis, and the prophet on that has all fled the planet. God is removed, and the new God is a machine just waking up. And realizing that its sex cannot suffice, we kind of close on this image of with a cheeky aside to OK Go. We kind of close on this image of Slothrop, who's the protagonist of Gravity's Rainbow. In Gravity's Rainbow, he walked around predicting where the next German bombs would fall, predicting it by where he had been aroused on his sort of hero's quest across the continent. It's a weirdly psychosexual theme, and here we invert it. The bomb falls up, implying that we are aroused at our own destruction. The relationship is it's an accelerationist kind of theme now. Okay. So, it's just a bloody knot. Everybody prays for privilege, maybe winning back the negative of what they lost. Barack Obama died with the technocracy, free love, Margaret Mead, Iron Man hung on a cross. Is about our institutions are collapsing. The idea of these institutions where the technocracy, where expertise would be allowed to live and thrive and be empowered in ways that are sort of removed from the messiness of our democratic systems, and we no longer trust those institutions. And those institutions are starting to fail for lack of sort of public support. Anthropology itself is kind of invoked, the study of human culture. Margaret Mead being, discredited increasingly as the century goes on, and with her kind of a perspective on sex and gender that fueled a generation that came before us. And what's left are these increasingly shallow and absurd, almost religious symbols, an Iron Man hung on the cross, and even a figure like even a figure like Catherine Hayhoe is kind of invoked because she stands at the nexus of like climate science and religion, being a famous communicator not for the science of it, but how she's able to translate that for religious audiences. So that's verse 4. Okay. This explanation is going to be longer than the song. The world keeps getting smaller by the hour as the shadow of the tower darkens polyglottal Babylon. Verse 5 is a state of mourning. The world being overfull on information, producing a desert in the mind. We have the polyglottal, the multilingual, if you will, scene yields to a new kind of cultural monism. The Tower of Babel rises again, and all of our films, I'm thinking of the MCUs of the universe, reduce down to a formula, and the formula reduces to a simpler formula until it reduces to a single frame, a kind of almost Buddhist solidity. And we're left with this question: can we procreate here? Can we create anything again, or has our love been bought and sold at no value, with no referent of real value, and kind of cryptoization of our sort of spiritual essence? And if so, if that's like where we leave the verses, then the beginning sneer. Sneer. The beginning sneer. And that, there it is in Christ, just about the same length of time as the song itself. A little inside the insanity of Here Comes Catastrophe.